Hello and good morning. Welcome back for day 2 of our series called The Godly Home. Yesterday we talked about our relationship to God. If you didn't watch that, then you need to do that if you get a little bit of time today. And today we're going to talk about husbands and their relationship to their wives. And so without any further ado, let's go to Ephesians chapter 5. We all know this passage. It's read almost at every wedding. But we're going to start there at verse 22, and we're going to read down through verse 33. So let's go ahead and get into it. It says, "Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be subject to their own husbands in everything." Woo, sorry ladies, we'll get to that one tomorrow. Husbands, this is where we're picking up today. "Love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having a spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let each of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband." Colossians 3 verse 19 says, "Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter towards them." And 1 Peter 3 verse 7 says, "Husbands likewise dwell with them in understanding, giving honor to the wife as the weaker vessel, and being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered." What am I saying here? Well, I'm just reading you the Bible. What does the Bible say? Husbands, love your wives. Don't be bitter to them. You symbolically are playing the role of Christ in your home to your wife, and your wife is playing the role of the church toward Christ in the home. How much does Christ love his church? He loves his church enough to die for his church. And that's the key here. Husbands, love your wives and accommodate them. Live with them in understanding. And the Bible uses the term as the weaker vessel. That doesn't mean as an inadequate vessel. That means that husbands and wives are built differently. Physically speaking, husbands are normally stronger than their wives. And wives are typically physically weaker than their husbands when it comes to lifting heavy objects and all these kind of things. But now I would never tell you that my wife is weaker than me in all areas, because she's not. She's got more understanding, more compassion, and she's more loving than I am. The man's call is to love his wife as Christ loved the church. Men, if you learn to love your wife in that way, she will take her role more seriously as well, and she will begin to respect you better. It says, love them, respect them, and do not be bitter toward them, men. I know it's hard sometimes, but I take the command seriously to take on the spiritual leadership in my home and to play the role that Christ plays for the church in my home. That means I'm a defender of my home. That means I'm a provider of my home. That means I'm a comforter in my home. I don't always do it correctly, but boy, am I trying. And pray for Marie, by the way. She does a great job, and I can't tell you how much I love her. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell. Get this message out to everybody, and come back tomorrow for day 3 of our series called The Christian Home. God bless.